Invincible Episode 3 just done throw in Allen wrench into the mix.
Move this man!
Allen the alien front and center running this episode, so let's get into everything, some small comic Easter eggs, and where we know the ending of this episode will lead into episode 4. I'm J-Buck, welcome to J-Buck Studios, thank you so much for stopping by. Pay your respects to Seance Dog as we get into Season 2, Episode 3 of... Wait... Mark has a heck of an interesting first couple days of college, first dealing with the sexcapades of having to share a room while your roommate is shacking up, as we get a glimpse of Will's side of the dorm room featuring parodies of some popular shows and music. Magnum Pi instead of Magnum PI, DTF instead of BTS, Lil Boz aka Lil Nas, and Lady Yaya in place of Lady Gaga. Now, the most confusing thing for Mark is his childhood role model, Seance Dog, appearing at his doorstep asking for help. Seance Dog is an obvious parody of Doctor Strange in this universe, and for comic readers, Seance Dog is a stand-in for Science Dog. The reasons for this change is because Robert Kirkman mentioned that they had held back the Science Dog property, with it having its own spin-off comic series. They did this in hopes to develop the character potentially into its own series. So, the more you know. Mark learns that the Thraxians need his help, but it's kind of sort of a trick, much like how similar events play out in the comics. Mark arrives only to learn that Thraxa is not in danger, but rather where his father, Omni-Man, has been hiding since he left Earth roughly a year ago. A big cliffhanger to end on, but I'm saying that Mark was brought here purposely by Omni-Man, and I'll talk much more about it in the spoiler section at the end of this video, what it means and what episode 4 may have in store. The meat of this episode, though, is Allen the alien, taking this missive, this machination directly from the comics. We learn much more of the character who appeared in Season 1 for the Coalition of Planets, as his origin story paints him out to be a Superman-like genetically engineered alien to help defend his people, and now the Coalition of Planets against the rule of the Viltrumites. Allen informs the Council, including the great Thaddeus, who is voiced by none other than Peter Cullen, the voice of Optimus Prime.
Did you warn the Earth Champion that a Viltrumite lives among his people? I am coming.
Hey, yo!
Sorry. Allen notifies them about the discovery of Mark from Earth, a half-Viltrumite that seemingly doesn't stand by their ideology, and he could help the Coalition finally stand against the Viltrumite scum. This both intrigues and frightens the members because can Mark actually be trusted? Anyway, this leads to Allen being ambushed by 3 Viltrumites asking about Mark, looking for Omni-Man, leaving the poor guy in a pile of his own weightless appendages. So I'm assuming that these 3 Viltrumites are continuing on their way to find both Mark and Omni-Man on Thraxa, which again, we'll also discuss a little bit further in the spoiler section later. The final bit of the Allen sub-story is a mole being in the midst of the Coalition, which I'm saying is Thaddeus by what he does to Allen's life support at the end of this episode. Is this the end of Allen? I'm saying no, especially if they're sticking to the comic source material, but I have a theory that Thaddeus is actually a Viltrumite in disguise. His characteristics look awfully similar to the 3 that show up, and I'm not 100% set on his motivations, whether he's on board with stopping the Viltrumites or rather infiltrating the Coalition to destroy them from the inside. Either way, we're gonna find out by the end of this season that Thaddeus is more than likely, in fact, the same as the enemy they are hunting. Overall, though, I really enjoyed this Allen the Alien vignette, and I hope that they do more stuff like this, or even more specials like Adam Eve, because each of the Guardians of the Globe get an origin story segment in some of the comic issues, which would be a really cool way of expanding upon their characters. Debbie is dealing with her own struggles now that the house is empty, with Mark off to college, learning that yes, the card that she was given by Olga in episode 1 stands for SOS, with it being a helpline, but more specifically a help group for spouses of superheroes. At this point, I think that she's not only looking for someone to connect with via the same struggles and pain that she's going through, but also someone to remedy her loneliness. First losing Nolan, now Mark to college, she's basically the I don't know emoji on what she should be doing outside of work. Luckily, she connects with Theo as they discuss their losses over a drink, and I had a feeling that there was going to be a flip of the script, especially with the opening episode recap, specifically showing Green Ghost, as it's revealed that Theo's spouse was Alana, the Green Ghost, and yet he unknowingly has a drink with the spouse of her killer. This was a great comfort switcheroo to potential conflict that felt so real. Especially when Debbie comes clean and Theo switches his script, threatening her as Debbie is back to square one with her feelings and finding a support group. Unfortunately, I think that her solace will be at the bottom of a wine bottle for a few more episodes. On top of that, I'm curious if Theo may round up some of the rest of the SOS members and have their sights on Debbie now that her identity is no longer a secret amongst the group. Would feel pretty petty and unwarranted, but emotions and revenge have already been explored a lot these 2 seasons. Rudy and Amanda's date adventures was a nice change of pace for the series, with teenage crushes being at the forefront, and Amanda showing Rudy the joys of life because, well, a robot just couldn't enjoy them the way a human can. This all really felt like Bicentennial Man to me, with this rigid robot man now experiencing humanity for the first time. A horror movie and a big old greasy burger and fries, perfect things to try. But Rudy is at a crossroads, still trying to live like a machine, for example, getting rid of his fear responses, while also feeling love and comfortability with Amanda. It's cute, and I hope that it works out for them, but I can see heartbreak in the future completely devastating Rudy, causing him to revert back to his cold robot form. The reason I theorize this is because of the orchestral music he's listening to. This is Richard Strauss's Till Illa
Today, Junior!
It's listed here. I apologize to everyone. This is a tone poem retelling the story of Till Almir, a folklore prankster, and his shenanigans. However, by the end of the musical work, Till is sentenced to death. Parts of the opening theme blend into the end of the work to symbolize that he is dead, only in this one world, but will live on always in our books and memories. Now, the reason I'm saying this is because it's hinting at Rudy potentially dying or reverting back to his robot body, or going even further, this could be tying in with the lingering, nefarious plan of Angstrom Levy and him hunting down all of the multiversal Invincibles. Am I digging too deep? Maybe. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. Lastly, the lovers' spat between Rex, Splode, and Duplicate is further explored, learning the reason that she connects so much with the Immortal is because that they've both died a lot, like a lot, which is obviously something they bonded on, while Rex is just being a beehole. This may feel like an insignificant little scene, but I'm curious if this is a slow roll for Rex to start seeing things from a different point of view, a different perspective, and him not only reconnecting with Kate, but the entire group of the Guardians, strengthening his team bond and, well, him being less of a Mick asshole. Oh, and of course, Shapesmith is there, just being weird again. Like I mentioned earlier, this episode's ending involving Omni-Man and Mark's reunion sets up some interesting things for next week, so I wanted to get into some potential comic book spoilers for episode 4. This is your warning. Alright, so following the comic source material, Mark and his father obviously reunite as teased by the ending of this episode, but Nolan drops some massive bombs on Mark without warning. First, him never returning back to Earth because he is enemy number 1, and Debbie, his wife, is a thing of the past because he is now with one of these praying mantis alien women. What hole it goes into is beyond me, but Nolan mentions he's now shacked up, having become the new ruler of Thraxa because of his extended lifespan. Now, Thraxians usually only have a lifespan of about 9 months, so therefore him being a firm, long ruling leader makes more sense than bringing in new people every few months. The second reveal is that Nolan has another child.
What a twist!
The old bug and tug, meaning that Mark now has a new half-Viltrumite, half-alien brother, soon to have superpowers just like him because of his quickened lifespan. Now still aging slower, but a little faster because of his half-Viltrumite DNA. And the third thing is that the Viltrumites now know of Nolan's muck-up and are coming to take care of him, take him back into Viltrum. The same three that beat the snot out of Alan are the same three that are also looking for Nolan and Mark. As the three Viltrumites arrive to Thraxia, Mark hides his new brother and Nolan's mate, while Nolan fends them off as long as possible. However, this results in him being taken back to Viltrum for a death sentence, but not before he screams to Mark to read his books. Now, whatever the answer, the solution, etc. is, it is in his books. So I'm betting that episode 4 and the mid-season break will end on these events, leading the second half of season 2 back to Viltrum and some gnarly battles between the best of the best of the best. Also, Mark has another Invincible on his side with his younger brother, so this is going to be an interesting thing to say the least. Anyway, that is everything for episode 3. Honestly, this might be my favorite episode solely because of the Alan story within the main episode. Feels identical to the comics, while the Debbie stuff might be some of the most real and scary stuff to date. Like, is she going to be in danger with all of these other spouses teaming up on her? Maybe. There are some big things on the horizon with this episode setup, but let me know your thoughts, feelings, and small details I may have missed in Invincible Episode 3 in the comments below. Giveaway competitions are starting up again, as we'll be giving away 3 random 2023 Blu-ray movies on the 15th of December, and all you gotta do to get a chance of winning this is like this video, make sure to subscribe with notifications on, and drop a comment with your thoughts on Invincible. We'll pick the winners next month, and they will be listed on screen then. And if you haven't, please check out all of my other social media accounts for my Shorts and Clips YouTube channel, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, everything. This will be your home for Invincible videos for one more week. Monarch Godzilla series later this week, so please subscribe and stay tuned, up to date on all of that. Thank you so much. I'm out of here. Peace, people. I gotta go get a hot, steamy BM in me.